Saurabh Agarwal sir is being promoted. We will start with today's session without any further delay. So, a very pleasant evening to all distinguished panelists and participants. Bharati Vidyapeeth's Institute of Computer Applications and Management, in association with Computational Intelligence Society, CIS chapter of IEEE Delhi section, Computer Society of India, CS Computer Society chapter of IEEE Delhi section, Technology and Engineering Management Society, TEMS chapter of IEEE Delhi section, System, Man and Cybernetics, SMC chapter of IEEE Delhi section, Communication Society of IEEE Delhi section, Consultants Network and Affinity CNA Group of IEEE Delhi section, Life Member Affinity LMA Group of IEEE Delhi section, Inter-Society Relations IRS Standing Committee of IEEE Delhi section, Industry Relations and Special Interest Group on Humanitarian Technology, Site Standing Committees of IEEE Delhi section, with the Association of Computer Society of India, CSI, Institute of Information Technology Professionals, IITP, ISTE Delhi section, and IETE Delhi Center as technical collaborators. Welcomes you all today to this webinar on multitasking myths and challenges. Before I proceed further, Uttam sir, Saurabh sir has joined with the name CSI Ghaziabad. So you can promote him with the given name as an attendee. It is a moment of pride and honor to announce that we, with united hands, mark special contribution for the monumental occasion Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, an initiative to celebrate 75 years of glorious independence by organizing thought-provoking sessions for our better future. This webinar is also an initiative for the celebration of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. According to Miral Giuliano, an author, women are smarter by basic instinct and by what we have to do to multitask at home and at work. My mother did that 50 years ago, but it wasn't called multitasking or stress back then. She had a job, two kids, and the meals to a man with no cook or maid at hand. My father would come home every day and expect lunch. He was a nice guy, but he was clueless. Well, the saying lays the foundation of today's webinar, showcasing the importance of the term that we currently call as multitasking and its age-old association with mankind. We all know that not only organizations, but even we as humans are a bit hit by the hyper expectations of performance in the backdrop of digitalization due to rising cost, increasing customer demands, and new market opportunities. This is increasing challenge every coming day, which in turn is creating an ecosystem of, let's say, being multitasking. But with this, on some day, one is exhausted by work and other demands of life. That has been realized desperately, especially over the past 2 years. So, this session today will explore the all pervasive multitasking and the myth that it makes us more efficient or takes entire productive energy from us. The session will explore the effects of multitasking on our brains and how, using a mindfulness practice, we can cultivate awareness of how to direct our attention and have more ease and comfort in our day to day life. The webinar aims to discuss the all round perspective of this term called multitasking. So, before we begin with today's session, I would first take this opportunity to welcome amongst us our distinguished galaxy of experts and panelists for the day. We are privileged to have amongst us a galaxy of experts. I would first welcome amongst us Mr. Saurabh Agarwal, Head of Strategy and Growth, PSU Business, TCS. During his long career of over 26 years, Saurabh sir has widely traveled and has worked in multiple countries. He has received several awards in TCS for his management and leadership skills. He is a certified mentor and counselor, being passionate about mentoring young professionals on management, leadership, along with digital technology and its socio-cultural impact. Sir has an expertise in strategy, leadership, innovation, and coaching. He also advises young startups on designing their products along with the marketing strategy. He also has his hands on academic councils and advisory boards of several engineering colleges and universities. He has been a regular mentor on Smart India Hackathon organized by Ministry of Education, Government of India, and has been a judge in all the editions till date. He is an active member of the Computer Society of India and was recently also elected to the National Conference of All India Management Association. So I warmly welcome Sir to today's webinar, and I would now request Mr. Saurabh Agarwal to commence this session with his welcome address.
Thanks, Dr. Ritika. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And apologies for the technical glitch. There seems to be some issue at my end, including my video. So I'll be on audio. And first of all, I would like to compliment BVI CAM and Professor Hoda for such an engaging series of webinars, which has been going on for more than 2 years now and almost every week. As I understand, this is 92nd webinar, and I look forward to a grand celebration during 100th webinar of this series, which I think may be a national record too. So I am currently traveling and not at home, and under normal circumstances, no, I would have excused myself from today's session. But when I saw the topic, I knew I cannot miss it. Uh, First of all, once in a while, a non-technical topic comes up, which gives all of us an opportunity to have a perspective beyond technology and to understand human traits. Secondly, no, I can say that I am also a practitioner of multitasking. Uh, so over the years, several people have asked me, the colleagues at work, or people at seminars, or my clients, that how do I manage it so effectively? Well, I'm not sure if I am managing it effectively. Multitasking is like playing multiple roles, not at the same time, but one after the other. Or you switch between them as and when required, and whatever the circumstances want you to. And I wouldn't say that multitasking is a must have quality. I would say this is just a trait. Some have it, some don't. Uh, And that doesn't mean at all that those who don't have it are not great leaders. Also, it doesn't mean that those who practice it are good at it or are great leaders. I mean, it may work for some, it may not work for others. But the important point is excellence. So whatever you are doing at the time you are doing, are you doing it correctly? Are you giving it your full attention with no distraction? Because good multitasking leads to several other qualities, like effective listening, the singular focus, the better time management. And I remember when I was in US several years back, working for a client, there used to be moments, and not one, multiple times, when I'm working in my desk on a laptop, working on some urgent deliverable. Suddenly, my desk phone rings, and as I answer it, my mobile rings, and before I answer my mobile, client manager walks up to my cabin for something important. Apparently, all of these tasks were urgent, but then you have to take a call right at that moment, depending on the situation. And that is what I would say the last important trait of multitasking, the quick decision making. I think I will leave it to our expert speaker. Listen to her, to Ms. Shresha. And one more thing that I think no, we have in common is that I too completed my ICF certification recently, and no, I look forward to learn more from her today. Thanks, Dr. Ritika.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for being the enlightening force. I would now request Professor M.N. Huda, sir, Director, Bharati Vidyapeeth Institute of Computer Applications and Management, and Vice Chairperson, IEEE Delhi Section, to address the participants with his inspiring words.
Good evening, everyone. Am I audible, Dr. Ritika?
Yes, sir.
So, once again, good evening, everyone.
Good evening, sir.
I take this opportunity to welcome you all, and foremost amongst them, my today's valued speaker, Ms. Shirisha Nagendran, who has accepted our request to enlighten us on such an important topic of multitasking. I take this opportunity to welcome my friend, Mr. Daman, who has always been a source of strength to all of us for organizing this IEEE IET BVICAM weekly evening webinar series. I also take this opportunity to welcome all the participants from various parts of the country and abroad. So thank you so much for joining us for this 90-second webinar under IEEE Delhi section as IEEE IET BVICAM weekly evening webinar series. Dear friends, the today's topic is multitasking. And in fact, the relevance of the topic has become more in the backdrop of COVID-19 and also in the backdrop of the huge and the massive digitalization happening in and around us, particularly in the backdrop of the Industrial Revolution 4.0 and Industrial Revolution 5.0. And rightly stated by few people that the way machines are being made multitasking, probably all of us are going to embrace that situation in one or other way. We are already under that domain. But whether that multitasking is becoming productive, is generating some positive result, is bringing some value additions, and if it is bringing, then at what cost? That is the challenge today. And for that topic, the today's valued speaker has been invited. I'm thankful to her for having accepted our request. In fact, some complications are there because of which I'm not in the office. I'm outside the office, traveling somewhere. I have stopped and then attached to a garden. I'm talking to all of you. So I would like to stop here and would like to listen more from our valued speaker today. That in one or other way, we all of us are under the domain of multitasking. So in which way it is going to exhaust us, or to which way it is going to bring more value addition, more productivity in our work. So all of us are waiting for that. Thank you so much with this note that stay safe, stay healthy, stay connected, keep learning despite disruptions. And all of us know that every positive side has got a negative side. So multitasking, it should not be a stop, but yes, if in some or other way we can control it, possibly that we may be in a position to drive more benefits. And इस नोट के साथ कि अगले हफ्ते फिर मिलेंगे एक नए टॉपिक के साथ बहुत सारे और webinars we have already notified. If you have not registered, please register for them. So अगले हफ्ते फूलों की तरह फिर खिलेंगे हम, फूलों की तरह फिर खिलेंगे हम, और अगले सैटरडे एक नए टॉपिक के साथ फिर मिलेंगे हम. Thank you so much. Wish you all the best. Over to you, Dr. Ritika.
Thank you, sir. I would now welcome amongst us our expert speaker, Ms. Shirsha Nagendra, Senior Practitioner, HSBC, and Mindfulness Consultant with an e-booking. So, welcome to today's session, ma'am. Shirisha Nagendra is a change consultant with over 18 years of experience spanning across technology and business. She is an engineer by training and thinking and get your hands dirty change consultant. She is passionate about the system's way of problem solving and change implementation. She has been practicing mindfulness with an erratic habit since 2012 and regularly since 2017. She is a part of a small niche global team within HSBC that cultivates the awareness of mindfulness among its 225,000 odd employees. She is a trained mindfulness facilitator and practitioner. We are honored to have you amongst us, ma'am. We also feel honored to address another intellect for the evening today, Damandev Sood sir. With over 37 years of experience in the industry and over 18 years in the resilience domain, Sir is a certified international and corporate trainer with over 10,000 hours of training and teaching experience. In his professional generally, he has played various senior executive roles like principal consultant, city head, group head, practice head, COO, CIO, VP, board member, etc., with a number of corporates like TCS, Zansa, etc., and is currently working with EY as Program Director, Operational Resilience. He has traveled, worked, and uh, I would say, facilitated over 20 countries. Sir is also a speaker and author of 3 books. The fourth is already underway and has served various clients in government, IT, banking, financial services, insurance, telecom. The list is endless. On his journey, he has also won multiple awards and global awards, including ILA's Global Outstanding Leadership Award 2021, BCI Business Continuity Manager of the Year Award 2019, BCI Merit Global Award 2012, BCI Continuity Resilience Contributor Award, Middle East 2020, DRI's Lifetime Achievement Award 2021, was the finalist for 2022, BCI's Continuity and Resilience Contributor Award, South Asia 2021. He has also been inducted into BCI Hall of Fame. And not only this great visionary is spending considerable effort on his pro bono work also, he is also mentoring IEEE, MentorCard, GameWise, etc. He is also the chair of Computer Society of Chapter, chair of the Standing Committee of IEEE Delhi section, and an IEEE ambassador. I welcome you, sir, to today's session. I would now request Sirisha ma'am to kindly enlighten the house.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Ritika. It is a delight to be here. Thank you, Daman, for inviting me this evening to be amongst fellow engineers. So that is certainly a big privilege. It's been such a long time. So multitasking. So what's going to be our agenda for the next 40 minutes or so? This is going to be an interactive session. So I would love if you can engage with me over chat. It'll help me to know what you guys are thinking. It is not going to be death by PowerPoint, hopefully. So if you'd engage, it'll be very, very valuable to know what you folks are thinking. I think, with an audience like this, especially, given that there is awareness of how multitasking can be helpful and sort of the downsides of it going on, right? So before I even start, right, what about the term multitasking? Let's define that term, right? We don't have a basis of definition here. We all think very differently about multitasking. So I'd be very curious to know through chat, what do you think is multitasking? What is multitasking? Doing several tasks at a time. Thank you, Shah. Anybody else? What do you think multitasking is? Doing several things simultaneously at the same time, doing multiple tasks at a time. One is engaged in many tasks at the same time, physically, mentally, or both. Good point. Managing many tasks at a time, doing many work at the same time. Okay, cool. Thank you. That is very helpful to know. What do we think? So give me some examples of multitasking. Give me some examples. What do we think? If I share, I can't see the chat, can I? Okay. Give me some examples of multitasking, folks. How many of you are multitasking now while you're being on this webinar? Listening to lectures, drinking water, handling cook at the kitchen. How many of you are listening here and scrolling on Instagram, Facebook, news, checking the weather, chatting? Is that multitasking, we think? Give me some examples, people. I'm also chatting on WhatsApp, yeah. Work life, family life. Attending webinar and doing work on laptop. Saurabh, sir, you split yourself into two. Currently, I'm doing multitasking, cooking, watching the webinar, chatting. Right. So it seems like all of us, most of us here are multitasking at the moment, right? We are multitasking. So can you see my screen? Cool. Right. On a scale of 0 to 10, how proficient are you at multitasking? Rate your proficiency. 0 being worst, 10 being the best. If you don't know what the baseline is, right? What are we looking at? 10. Virendra Kumar is 10. Daman is 0. 3. Somebody said 3. 2. 6. Right. 4. Remember where you stand. 3. Right. So we have got quite a range, right? Some people think you're not very good at multitasking. That doesn't seem to stop us from multitasking. Some people we think we're really good, and some of us sort of lie somewhere in the 0 to 5 scale. There is a perceived proficiency. I think I'm really good at multitasking. Then there is actual proficiency. Do we want to find out against your perceived proficiency what your actual proficiency is? So if you're around, if you have a paper and a pencil, I'd like you to take that. I'd like you to take paper and pen, right? And I'll give you 30 seconds to take your paper and pen. I'm gonna take you through an exercise. So what you do, once you take your paper and pen, you all know your full names, right? It's been a long time since you would have written anything on paper. So remember your full names. And what you do, I will time you. When you finish writing your full name, type on the chat done. Let's see how much time does it take to write your full name. But wait, before we start, you write your full name and below that, write number starting from 1 to 25. The length of my name is 25. That's fine. Whatever be the length of your name, or if you don't know what your length of your name is, write 1 to 26. So two activities, right? First, write your full name on the first line. Second, write 1 to 26 sequentially. And once you're done, type yes on the chat. And your time starts now. Go. Paper pen, people, paper pen. How many of you are done? Tell me yes on chat. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Done. About 20 seconds on average, I think we've done 13. Okay, done, done, done. Great. Right. 30 seconds. Now, second exercise. Very similar. What we're going to do now is write the first letter of your name I'm a yes. Below that, write 1. Second letter of your name and write 2. Wait, don't start before I tell you to start. Instructions, right? I. Below that, 3. The length of your name, write your letter of the name followed by the number. Instructions are clear, right? Okay. So, start now. Once you're done, type yes in the chat. One. How about others? Saurabh is done. Preeti is done. Mahesh is done. Nikita is done. Dana is done. All right. Okay. Do you want to guess the results that we saw right now? The first task, the earliest that you folks finished was 16 seconds. The latest was 25 seconds, ranging between 16 to 25 seconds. For the second task, the earliest you finished was 25 seconds. Later, some of us are still doing. So what does it tell you? The initial task, we took about 16 seconds to do at a minimum, and the second task, 25 seconds to do the minimum. This is the fastest amongst us. What does that tell you? Isn't it the same activity?
First one was single activity at a time. We did two, but single activity at a time. The second exercise, we were doing multitasking and engaged into activities, and we are shifting or shifting between two. That's very longer.
How did it feel doing the second activity, Raman?
Difficult.
You have to focus, right? To toggle our speed decreases. We finish early. It's fun when we do this activity. We finish early when we focus on one activity. When we toggle, our speed decreases. Speed decreases, the difficulty level raises, the time taken to do a task increases. Second activity was inefficient. You guys have drawn your own conclusions. It's the same thing. What you were doing, you were switching between one to another. Were you writing it simultaneously? What were you doing? You were switching between one another, right? We call this task switching or task flipping. So I'll take you through what are the different kinds of multitasking. But this second variety, this variety that we are talking about, task flipping, is I think what some of us in this call might be doing while we are working, while we're being on the webinar, while we're chatting, while we're listening to the webinar. We may be doing task flipping, which is also called context switching. We are switching from one context to another. There are a lot of studies that shows what happens when we are context switching from one to another. So I'll share a few things with you, but before that, let me take you through what are the different kinds of multitasking, right? Parallel tasking. Somebody said they're cooking in the kitchen, listening to the webinar. Switching tasks, background tasks. So these are the three kinds. Are you asking me, is there like a clear definition of what multitasking is? You know, people do not agree on it. Of course, nobody agrees on anything, right? But with my experience of working with this, I think there are three kinds of multitasking. One is parallel tasking, attention on two things simultaneously, driving and texting. How many of us do that? Yeah, driving and texting. Thankfully, I don't drive. So when I'm being driven, so I can text. But imagine if the guy who's driving me there is taking his phone and texting while he's driving. It's sure to raise my BP. Watching Netflix and eating. How many of us are eating in front of a screen, be it your mobile screen or TV? How many of us are doing that? Tell me the last time you ate a meal without a screen. Sorry, Daman. Go on.
I was saying I'm not eating, drinking currently at this moment, but sometimes I have, especially with tea.
Yeah. This is something I've noticed when, before pandemic, at least, when you go into the office cafeteria, it's very hard to even meet anybody. You know what people are doing? They're standing in the coffee queue, their head is hunched over the phone. You see that even in the movies, right? When you go to get your popcorn, people are hunched over the screens. There are some people who are eating without watching any screen. Well done. I think you already have a competitive advantage in the world where most people are doing that. Walking and listening to a podcast. I must say, this is one of my favorite things to do. Walking and listening to a podcast because that makes, at least lets me to go and walk. Talking to your child and writing an email, or for that matter, your spouse. Very familiar, right? Happens. Working on your computer while you're in a call talking. I have done this so many times. I'm talking and I'm chatting. And then you'll be like, oh, I lost you. What were you saying? Oh, can you come back? Oh, sorry, the line, is really bad. Can you repeat what you're saying? How many of us have done this? I suppose at least a few of us have done this here, right? So parallel tasking is when attention is on two things simultaneously. So what happens when attention is on two things simultaneously? Attention is fragmented and compromised. And there is loss of presence. You are not fully there. Your mind is split in two places. You are not able to be very effective in what you're doing. And some of these could be dangerous as well, right? Driving and texting. All it takes is momentary lapse for accidents to happen. I could even say texting and walking down the stairs. We all know people who walk down the stairs, they were texting, slipped, and fallen. It's happened, or we've twisted our ankles, right? These things happen. Switching tasks. This is what is quite prevalent in our working world. How many of us have at least 50 tabs open on our screen right now? How many applications are running in your system right now? More than this webinar, right? A lot. I think that's the difference from the dial-up modem times when your floppy disk couldn't hold more than 1.44 MB. You could launch just one task. But now if your computer cannot launch 10 tasks, you're already thinking, oh, I need an upgrade. I need to increase my RAM. We are so used to having multiple applications running at the same time. And we are bringing that onto our work life as well. You're chatting during a meeting. We are switching tabs while writing a report or a presentation. This must be familiar, right? When we are trying to do some work, focused work, trying to write a report or a presentation, your hand mouse automatically moves to Chrome or Safari, clicks, Google. Oh, let me just check this for a moment. Instant connectivity. So what's happening? Our ability to stay focused is right away gone because we end up doing something else. Scrolling on your phone while in a conversation with another person. Doom scrolling, they call it. Either news or cricket match or Instagram or LinkedIn. LinkedIn, oh my God, that is the new thing. Everybody is on LinkedIn all the time. Twitter, LinkedIn, we're scrolling on the phone when we're physically present with another person. Checking emails in the middle of focused work. Some of us pride on being very, very responsive on our emails, right? Very, very responsive. When we are so responsive, how are we getting work done? When we are immediately responding to all the emails that are coming in. So what does this do? It leads to loss of productivity. It increases procrastination, especially when you have big, big pieces of work to do. Especially you should ask people who have done their PhDs, right? When you're writing your thesis, you would do anything not to sit down and write your thesis. Only the deadline is going to force you to do anything because it's really hard to pay attention, sit and write. And this is happening to us on an everyday basis. It creates mental exhaustion and leads to chronic overwhelm. And maybe this is something over the past 2 years we may be familiar with, right? We finish a working day. I remember last year there was a time when I was on 13 calls in a day. At the end of the day at 8 o'clock, I just went on the bed, wiped out. I could not even bring myself to get up and go get a glass of water. For an hour, I was like, I'm mentally gone. I cannot do this. For some of us, it happens at the extreme. For some of us, it's like, oh, I do not want to go work out. Oh, I cannot really be present with my child when my child is coming me asking me to look at something. If your spouse is coming and saying, I want to have a conversation with you, there is no energy for that. All that we have energy for is watching TV or scrolling on the internet. Try to get any bit of productive or creative work done after a work day, especially if your attention has been fragmented. If you've been distracted all through the day, you will not be able to focus. So it's like a muscle. If we don't build that muscle, if we don't use that muscle, we lose it. And most of the day, we are task switching. We are not doing parallel tasks. Think about your own day. How many of us are doing task switching? One to another, one to another, one to another. One particular research shows that when we do task switching like that, it takes at least 22 minutes to come back to the original task to focus on, to bring back your focus on. 22 minutes, assuming you don't get distracted by then, right? What happens if you get distracted by then? It is going to take long. And we are all wrapped up into this whole world of being busy. We all like being busy, right? Are we being productive? Are we walking away at the end of the day with the satisfaction that, yes, I've done a piece of work that really matters to me? I've been able to focus my energy and attention and expertise on something. I think that sense is slowly waning away for some of us, right? We finish the workday and we think, what is it that have I done? I'm not so sure. Then the third one is background task. Attention is predominantly on one task while the other runs in the background. Laundry in the washing machine while you're cooking. Computer is booting up while you plan your day. At a doctor's appointment, you're reading a book. Waiting at the airport lounge on your flight. And you're sketching. This does increase efficiency, right? You're using the buffer time. Something is waiting to happen. You're doing something else around this point in time. I love the days when we could not access Wi-Fi on the airplane. I really loved it when you had to switch off your phone. There was so much time to just be and think. We are slowly losing those spaces for us. We are losing that time where there isn't an external interruption or an external distraction. Saurabh sir, when he was talking right at the beginning, he shared this instance, right? Where he's sitting in the office working on a laptop, a phone rings, a mobile rings, somebody else is walking in, free for distraction. Thinking about it itself, we see it as inefficient. But it's what is happening for us right now. Everything is logged, everything is on one screen. Those interruptions are not even visible. Those interruptions are invisible. So it may look like you're on your laptop being productive, but because we can't see them very visually and physically, sometimes we are not even aware that we are multitasking. We are doing context switching, right? So maybe this is a good point to stop and think, what are the areas in your life are you multitasking? What are the areas you are multitasking? Can you please share in the chat? Somebody's asked, what is procrastination? Procrastination is putting away something, delaying it. Oh, I'll do it half an hour later. Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Oh, today my computer is not working, so I can't send that email. Putting away something. What are the areas in your life that you think multitask? Office. Anybody else? Thank you, Krishnan, for sharing that. I think for me personally, what I did notice was when I was on Zoom calls, more than 2 or 3 Zoom calls at a time, right? I end up multitasking. When I've had no time to work, there is a joke in our office. We'll be like, we work in between the Zoom calls or during the Zoom calls. Yesterday, our 2 colleagues who were attending training, they were sending me emails. I'm like, you were supposed to be on training for 4 hours. Why are you on emails? On web browser, yeah. Web browser, like 100 tabs are open, and we are scared to close those tabs, lest an inspiration that we've had in the tab goes off. Yeah, there are some areas for us which we do multitask in our life. Next question, is your multitasking deliberate? Is it intentional or is it automatic? So I want you to just take 30 seconds and think about this. Is your multitasking intention? Yes, sorry, can't hear you.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Sorry. So is your multitasking deliberate or is it automatic?
So the reason I missed this question was because I was responding to the last question I was typing.
Thank you for your candidness. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. For some of us, it is deliberate. For some of us, it seems to be automatic, right? So what does deliberate mean? I've decided that in this webinar, I'm going to listen to the speaker talk and simultaneously I'm going to check my emails. That is intentional. Or has it become a habit? The moment somebody starts talking, I open my email and I check. It happens just like that. So I just want you to think about whether it is intentional or it is automatic, because that makes a difference to your energy levels, to your productivity, to your state of mind. Because what happens, we practice, whatever we practice strengthens, right? In the case of multitasking, if it is on autopilot, what you're strengthening is your loss of attention and focus. The thing is, yes, Tam.
Sorry, continue.
Sorry, go on.
I just said that I missed that question because I was typing and giving a response from my office environment. For example, that we are in a meeting, I'm paying attention to the person who's speaking. For example, we are speaking, I'm paying attention to, but all of a sudden there is a message from someone who also is in the same meeting. So what has happened now? That person gave up paying attention to you, the speaker. I saw the message and have also been dragged into that. Looking at the message, seems to me I should respond because the person is expecting a response. While she both know that we are in the same meeting. Yeah. Sometimes the message is from some other person who doesn't know whether I'm in a meeting or not.
Yeah.
So what I feel to, or I need to say is that if I do this, it's double negative impact according to me. Two people are going out of the meeting.
Yeah. No, that's a very, very powerful point, Daman. I think that I think this is a great point where I think what you're bringing out is certain activities when we do multitask, it doesn't impact only us, it impacts the other person too. And I am messaging somebody in the middle of the meeting, I am interrupting their ability to pay attention to. So thank you. I think that is a very, very powerful point here. That is a very powerful point. Thank you for sharing. So what happens when we are on autopilot multitasking, right? First is, even before we go about what happens, which is in the black box, why do we end up doing autopilot multitasking? Some of the reasons that I think is there is resistance. When there is a big presentation that I have to do, I may end up doing a lot of other things instead of sitting with this big thing. So there is resistance to what I have to do. Sometimes it's boredom. I'm sitting here, I don't like the speaker, or speaker is saying something. Let me go do something else. But I have to be here because I want my attendance to get registered. We do this in some meetings, right? So there is boredom. Sometimes it is stress. I realize that I multitask automatically when I'm stressed out. And sometimes it's a sign when I'm multitasking that I have to step back and say, what's going on? It means that there is stress sometimes happening in my life. Pain. Have you noticed when you're in physical pain, your ability to pay attention is compromised? You end up trying to do many things and you screw up those things as well. Right? Fatigue. When you're tired, physically, mentally, emotionally tired, after an argument with someone, after a very tough meeting, it's hard to pay attention, right? We fragment our attention. Conflicts, and we fought with someone. Distraction. When we want some distraction, we end up doing automatic multitasking. And the most important one for me is uncomfortable feelings. When there are feelings that we do not sit up to. See, feelings are like data points. We say do not shoot the messenger, but Feelings are something that we are all uncomfortable talking about staying with. When we do not want to sit with our feelings, what we end up doing, we distract ourselves. Feeling sad, distract. Feeling angry, distract. We do not want to sit with ourselves and see what is going on. So sometimes these are the reasons we do end up doing autopilot multitasking. And what happens when we do autopilot multitasking, right? Your attention muscle weakens. Observe yourself over the next 1 week or so. Do not try to make any changes, but observe. See what kind of multitasking you're doing and where. And you will see that your ability to pay attention weakens actually. And then there is this general sense of dissatisfaction with one's work and life, right? What is it that I have done through the day? What I've done is not productive. I don't know what I accomplished today, but I've been busy for like 12 hours. I've heard so many of my colleagues saying that. And a study actually says that there is at minimum a decrease in productivity of at least 40%. In case I think I'm tempted to think it's a lot more than that. Decrease in productivity. Unable to focus for longer durations. Set a timer for 25 minutes, okay? Sit and try to focus on one thing. See within what minute you end up distracting yourself. It is really, really hard these days. We talk about children not being able to pay attention. We adults are not able to pay attention these days, especially with the devices and the technology that has pervaded our life. One study says that when you multitask, your IQ drops by 10 points. So, is that something you really want when you're doing autopilot multitasking? No wonder, right? We write emails that we regret when we are doing something else. The email doesn't make sense only. When the other person is like, what have you said? Because you're not clear, you end up writing another email. Just like that, in reply to all 12 emails have come, nobody is very clear because everybody's been multitasking. Exhaustion and fatigue at the end of the day. You're very, very tired. Increase in perceived stress and anxiety. Some of us, what we do, we don't just do task switching. We take on more activities. And what happens when you have more activities, you get the sense when you wake up in the morning, right? I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to send this. Oh, I miss sending that. I'm somebody who has a lot of things going on at the same time. And at some point in your life, that becomes very, very hard to balance and manage if you do not have a system or a structure to get you through the day. Some of us rely just on our minds to get through the day, right? We do not establish a system that will help us to work through everything. When you're reliant on your brain to take care of everything, it is going to get fatigued at some point because we've not trained for it. So, what does mindfulness do for us, right? Mindfulness is one of my favorite ways, I would say, for a lot of things, and especially when it comes to multitasking. Mindfulness is awareness that arises through paying attention on purpose. This is the key. On purpose is intention in the present moment, non-judgmentally. So this is a definition. There are a lot of words here, but I'd like you to take you through a 2-minute exercise, right? To get a sense of what this really is. And then we will wrap up. How much time do I have? I have about 8 minutes. Okay, 2 minutes. Okay. So I want you all, whatever you're doing right now, if you can, if you're not on the road driving, don't try this. But if you're seated in a place, if you're not in the kitchen or doing anything, just get comfortable for the next 2 minutes, right? Just get comfortable being seated in a good posture, feet on the floor. If your back is resting on the chair, just come upright. Just lean forward so that your spine is aligned to your neck. Tilt your chin slightly, place your hands on your lap, and you could choose to close your eyes or gaze at a distance at a 45-degree angle in front of you. And as you are seated in a posture that is alert yet relaxed, I want you to be curious and notice where in your body can you feel your breath. Just be curious and get a sense of where you can feel your breath in your body. Maybe you feel your breath in your nostrils or in your throat. Or you could put your hand on your chest and belly if you can't feel your breath, to feel your body rising and falling with breath. So I want you to just stay with the breath for the next minute or so. Just be curious and notice what this breath feels like. If you notice your mind wandering, very gently and kindly bring it back to the breath. Now, for the next 15 seconds, let go of any focus or attention and just rest in this space of present moment. Just be here. Now, expand your awareness to your body. Get a sense of your feet on the floor, being seated on the chair or on the floor, your hands on your lap. And now expand your awareness to your environment, sounds in your surroundings, in your room, the sound of my voice, the light playing behind your eyes. Now take your time and come back to this room. Open your eyes. If you have a glass of water, take a small drink of water. Would anybody like to share what did they notice during this very, very short 3-minute practice?
Wait for a few seconds, Shirsha. If someone else wants to share first, else I will share.
Sorry, Raman, it wasn't very clear to me.
Okay, I was saying I want to. I will wait for someone else to speak.
Sure.
He or she wants.
Peace of mind, calmness. Mind was wandering. Focused on the breath. Something that I want to point out with these 3 things that are coming up. Everybody's experience is going to be very, very different. You do the same practice even after an hour, your experience is going to be different. You know why? Because mindfulness is not about achieving a relaxed state of mind. It is about staying present. If this is what your state of mind is there right now, that is what it will show you. Some of us may have calmness. Some of us may have increased agitation. Some of us might have sensed restlessness, right? When is this going to end? What is this? 20 minutes is it? What is going on? And other people are like, oh, you should have given me more time. No, given me more time. So we will all have different experiences. See, mindfulness is almost like a mirror. Think of a very clouded mirror, right? You're going and standing in front of the mirror. You can't see anything. What we're doing as we start practicing mindfulness through this exercise, I'm wiping away parts of the mirror and I see parts of myself. If I look at it, I'll be like, what the hell? My hair is graying. I don't like it. You do not take care of yourself at all. Immediately, a critical voice comes. So, through mindfulness training, we're able to cultivate the aspect of curiosity. You're all engineers, right? You understand the importance of being curious. Curiosity is very, very valuable. And we've all lost that sense of curiosity. There is so much cynicism that we have, and bitterness, especially as we start growing older. So, mindfulness is about being curious and seeing the new in what is already there. It is about, oh, this is going on. What is happening with this? That element of curiosity itself brings within its kindness and openness. So, with mindfulness, what we are doing is training our mind to be open and curious, to be able to see something that's already there with a new perspective. And this is something you would have experienced when you're trying to solve a problem, right? You go at it, go at it, go at it, nothing happens. You take some time off and come with it, your mind is suddenly open and curious. You're able to see a different perspective. And mindfulness is about intentionally cultivating that perspective within ourselves. Like anything, when we start training with ourselves, it spills over into our life. When you try meditation, you get agitated, Usha is saying. Yes, that tends to happen. That does tend to happen. It is about bringing in that curiosity and gentleness to see what is coming up. What is this agitation telling us? What we do, we distract ourselves. We do not want to feel all of that. And research has shown that mindfulness practice, if you practice for 8 minutes a day for over 6 weeks, your brain changes. It is non-invasive brain surgery. Neuroplasticity, right? This might be a concept you're familiar with if you're into neuroscience. New neural pathways are created. We know AI, this is NI, natural intelligence. Neurons that wire together, fire together. Mindfulness is a way of shifting your perspective, changing your structure of the brain. There is a lot behind that's happening in our brain when we practice mindfulness, and that is something perhaps for another day. So, this is something you would have experienced and you will experience if you're a mindfulness practitioner. You're trying to pay attention and your mind wanders. It will definitely wander. Your goal is not to keep it focused. But what do you do when your mind wanders? You have a choice. You have a choice of staying with the wandering or bringing it back to attention. Mindfulness is cultivating that awareness and giving yourself that small choice. When you've noticed that you're multitasking, and that is something you do not want to do, in that small gap that you have, what is it that you're going to choose to do? It is easier said than done. That is why we practice mindfulness so that we are able to bring that benefits into our everyday life. See, there is a lot of research that is coming up. It especially helps us to integrate all parts of the brain, especially the prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for analytical, logical, creative thinking, with the limbic system of the brain. Mindfulness actually makes for an integrated brain. It not just helps with your emotional, mental well being, but physical as well. Neurons that wire together, fire together. And this happens with mindfulness practice. So, what are the benefits, right? It gives you more choices in life. I didn't have a choice, I lost it. I didn't have a choice, so I multitasked. You will see that you have a lot more agency in your life. And you're going to shift from reacting to responding. Reacting meaning it's not even within your control. Responding is more intentional, coming from a space of I am choosing to do this. So, intentionally cultivate states of mind instead of losing the attention muscle, which we've all worked very hard to develop, right? You can intentionally develop and increase that quality of attention and presence in your life. Break the habitual patterns. And one of the things about multitasking, right? It's not just about mindfulness. That is the training that can be some of. It is designed for distraction. Most of our devices by default are designed for distraction. Your message pings, your notifications, any app that you have, that red badge, can you stop yourself from going there? There are thousands of engineers sitting behind the social networks and this device, working to keep our attention there. So see if your device is designed for attention or distraction. If it's designed for distraction, make changes to it. And design your environment for attention. See if your environment actually lets you focus and develop your attention muscle through focused work. Start for 10 minutes or even 5 minutes and build it up to 90 minutes. See what is happening. You may find it very, very hard in the beginning, but this is going to happen with consistent practice. And the most important thing for me is make time in your calendar that's free of things to do. We are not doing people, right? We are human beings. If you do not give that space, how are we able to get through world? How are we able to think? How are we able to shift our perspective and see things? Another thing, do one thing at a time. When you're here, be here. When you're in this webinar, be in this webinar. When you're cooking, you cook. When you're eating, you eat. When you're reading, you read. When you're in a meeting, be in the meeting. If you think you don't have to be there, say no to the meeting, decline it, and go do something else. We do not want to say no, right? I find it very hard to say no. That is something we really have to develop. Be intentional about how you want to spend your time, energy, and life. Be very, very intentional about this. What are your takeaways? I'm stopping here because I think I've exceeded the time by 4 minutes. I'll stop here and maybe, yes,
Can I go ahead?
yes, please.
So first is I want to say, you can take a relax, right? Is that right, Dr. Ritika? Can take a relax.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Shirisha. First of all, thank you so much because this has been a really insightful session, which I am sure has also enlightened the participants because all of them have actually participated. There is one question by one of the participants I had in the Q&A, so I hope you were not able to see it. Many big conglomerates have accepted work from home, while they have also warned and chucked employees on cross organizational multitasking. Now, this is a very current example. So, what is the organization today actual take on this? Like whether they are promoting it, how much, until what degree, and are they actually taking some care of again, I would say the mental well-being of their employees?
See, with this, right, I think organizations are trying their best to signpost mental awareness well-being. Unfortunately, we think it is for other people. We do not think mental well-being is for us. I am stressed, but I will not go see a counselor or a therapist. Other person, please, we advise them, you go and see. No matter what organizations do or don't do, everything starts with us, right? We make up the organization. You either go with the flow or you be a path breaker there. I think it all comes down to you have certain set of objectives as an employee of the organization, right? Now take a hard look at the work that you do. Sometimes we are just manual routers. One email comes from here, we forward to another person, take care of that. Is that the work that you want to do with your life? Is that what you want to do? Be intentional about it. See if the work matches up to your expertise, matches up to what you value. If it is valuable to you, do that. Organization is a bigger context, bigger thing. Focus on the individual here. If you have objectives, is your workday aligned to your objectives? Are you able to be very effective in your role? And the design of the environment is totally up to us, isn't it?
Absolutely. I would completely agree with that. And I would say very rightly said. And what a wonderful end to this wonderful session today. With this, we come to an end to this wonderful session. And I know it is only the tip of the iceberg. There needs to be a lot done on our end and a lot to be learned from you if we actually want to keep juggling with this multitasking in the present times and also maintain our well-being. But with looking at the time, yes, we need to end this wonderful session today. So at this moment, I will now request Professor M.N. Huda sir to kindly present a certificate to Shirisha as a token of remembrance for this wonderful session today. Sir.
Oh, thank you so much, Srisha. It has been a lovely webinar. In fact, I'm traveling out somewhere, but still, the way you delivered it, it kept me connected with that. And this certificate is not for the purpose of certification, but for the purpose of remembrance that you have been part of such a lovely session, which is uh, uh, so important in terms of this hyper world, that how and in which way multitasking should be utilized and where it should not. So thank you so much. We'll certainly meet in any other program. And with this, this meeting room is converted into a facilitation center where my team members, Dr. Ritika and others, will be facilitating for the purpose of resolving issues for your certificates. This memento is also for you, just as a remembrance. And again, e-bouquet, e-certificate, and e-memento. So thank you